πάντα είναι πολύ έτσι, αξιόλογες τοποθετήσεις στις ΔΕΠΑ εμπορίες με την ιστορικότητα που έχουν τα στελέχη για το trade, γιατί μην ξεχνάμε ότι υπήρξε ο βασικός εισαγωγέας μαζί και με άλλες εταιρείες φυσικού αερίου, οπότε γνωρίζει πολύ καλά τις αγορές και στην περιοχή. Συμφωνώ, το είπε και η κυρία Γκάλη, ότι μειώθηκαν και σε ευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο πολύ οι αποθήκες, τα αποθέματα στις αποθήκες και άρα ο ρόλος που εμείς μπορεί να μην έχουμε αποθήκη, η πιο κοντινή μας είναι στη Βουλγαρία, αλλά έχουμε δύο πολύ καλά τερματικά τα οποία βοηθούν προς αυτή την κατεύθυνση. Να επιστρέψω όμως στην κυρία Γκάλη τώρα με τη δεύτερη θεματική και πώς συνδέεται και με την πρώτη, που έχει να κάνει με τις πρόσφατες εξελίξεις έτσι, σε πολιτικό επίπεδο. Μπορεί να φαίνεται μακριά η αλλαγή του Τραμπ στην Αμερική, πολλοί κάποιοι να το συζητάνε έτσι λίγο σαν buzzwords ωστόσο, το είπε ο κύριος Ιφνέος, έρχεται με πολύ μεγάλη αλλαγή στην εξαγωγική κατάσταση του LNG η Αμερική, αφενός. Αφετέρου, διαφαίνεται μετά από κάποιο διάστημα μια ενδεχόμενη αλλαγή στον πόλεμο στην Ουκρανία. Αυτά τα δύο βασικά ζητήματα, πώς πιστεύετε ότι θα επηρεάσουν την αγορά στη δική μας περιφέρεια και πώς το αξιολογεί ο ΔΕΣΦΑ σε σχέση με την καλύτερη χρήση, μεγαλύτερη χρήση ή άλλως του συστήματος.
Well, let me say that as much as we all agree that Trump is quite unforeseeable, for the time being, let's say, the statements about exporting more LNG for Europe do not change, let's say, what was also the strategy of the previous administration. Eventually, it will increase and enhance it because, let's say, he's doing it in a much more pushy way, if I can say. So when it comes to, let's say, the strategy of being able as a country, and therefore through our infrastructure, together with gas trade and other possible FSRU that eventually will develop, of accepting more LNG and transiting this LNG through Greece in the neighboring country remains, I would say, absolutely valid. Of course, we need to be able to cope with much more uncertainty and volatility. That's why it's very important that all our projects are a bit bidirectional, that we can, let's say, be able to export either gas or electricity, because at the end this gives all the players in the market a more natural hedge toward these uncertainties. So the initiative, the project that we are building today, all cover this double role of serving the growth of the domestic market and the growth of the export potential. I make an example. We are completing this year 2 big compressor stations in Ambelia and in Komotini. The Ambelia compressor station was initially thought in the context of being able to take more gas from TAP, because it helps receiving more gas from TAP, but the same compressor station can help exporting more gas to Bulgaria. The Komotini compressor station has been built in order to be able to export the LNG from Alexandroupolis to Bulgaria, but it can also be used to increase the pressure in that part of the grid, to deliver the gas to the new CCGTs in the north, and to deliver more LNG coming in Alexandroupolis to the Greek market or for export in Sidirokastro. So a very important element of, let's say, a network is the fact of being a network. So not being just a monodirectional infrastructure, but being able really to switch the flows in different directions. And this is what we keep looking at investing in flexibility. And if I can comment about what you said on storage, let's say, as a country, of course, we don't have a storage. I think I've been fighting quite a lot, but no success in respect to the Kavala project. It is true that our seasonality is not as significant as in countries like Italy or Northern Europe, where, of course, with the heating season, the switch between summer and winter is much stronger. It is also true that we can leverage not only the Bulgarian storage, but also Italy, because we can use the tap in reverse flow. And this gives us quite a good flexibility. But more and more, we will need short-term storage. We will need LNG storage. We are getting short of short-term flexibility because the LNG for the gas for the power plant cannot be delivered with the time of withdrawal from an underground cavern, which normally have one injection season and one withdrawal season. For power plant modulation, we need fast storage. And fast storage means LNG tanks. And in this case, of course, Revitus is providing this additional service of LNG storage. In my view, increasing the ability to store LNG and to provide short-term flexibility will become a need that will materialize pretty soon, because we have the example of other countries like Spain, in which there is a lot of renewables and a lot of LNG. And the ratio between regasification capacity and storage capacity is much higher than what we have in Greece. And so this, I think, something that we will have to address, because the market will run the risk of becoming tight.
No, so this is correct, so far as I am concerned. Mr. Sifneos, the same question to you. Specifically with regard to the vertical corridor and the role of the gas straight LNG terminal. What's your viewpoint?
We need to see the market as a whole. Greece is has its limitations. It's a market with it can reach maybe 7-8 BCM, but I think that's kind of the ceiling. So we need to look at the vertical corridor as an integrated market, and in that respect, it's very critical to develop the interconnection capacities within the market. As I said, we see that there is a 16 BCM gap to be covered for the entire vertical corridor market by 2030, and that is without discontinuation of the Russian gas. Russian gas in the region, although it's not very easy to be accurate in the estimates, is in the range of between 13 and 15 BCM, all imported from Turkey. So in the scenario where Russian gas is fully or to a large extent phased out from this market, then you have a wider gap to cover. So which are the sources for this region to cover this gap? There's going to be additional production in Romania, which probably will cover domestic demand, increased domestic demand, and a little bit more, and that will be around 5, 6, 7 BCM. But the rest is LNG. So this is where we, as a market, Greece as a market, can play its role and increase its importance in strategic positioning with supplying LNG into the region in a wider way. This is why from Alexandroupolis is very important, and this is why we are also promoting a second FSRU in Thrace LNG, which of course its objective is to capture this gap, in particular when the war ends. Now, there's a contradiction in the narrative between, on one side, ending the war, and therefore what's going to happen with Russian gas, and the other is pushing more US LNG into the region. So I think the US policy will still remain in trying to push more US LNG into the region, and in particular to Ukraine post-war. So the opportunity is really there.
Oh, thank you. It remains to be seen, but one final minute, if we have, for one final word from DEPA and the role of DEPA Boreas in this interlinked world in the region, also for natural gas and electricity.
Επιτρέψτε μου να χρησιμοποιήσω τη μετρική. Sorry for that. Θα είμαι πολύ σύντομος γιατί βλέπω και ο χρόνος τελείωσε. Σε αυτό το ταχαίως αναπτυσσόμενο περιβάλλον, η ΔΕΠΑ προσπαθεί να έχει ένα ενεργό και πολυεπίπεδο ρόλο. Έχει στρατηγική παρουσία σε περιφερειακές αγορές όπως όλου του κάθετου διαδρόμου, στη Βουλγαρία, στην Ουγγαρία, στη Σλοβακία, έχει πρόσβαση στις αποθήκες Ουκρανίας. Όλες αυτές οι αγορές έχουν ένα ιδιαίτερο δυναμικό και μια αυξημένη απέτηση για αξιόπιστους αντισυμβαλλόμενους, άρα εκείνη που έρχεται η ΔΕΠΑ Εμπορίας να κουμπώσει. Εδώ πρέπει να πούμε ότι πρέπει να υπάρξει μια ρυθμιστική σύγκληση. Επί της ουσίας θα πρέπει να υπάρχει μια εναρμόνιση στα τιμολόγια μεταφοράς, μια αποκατάσταση των αποκλείσεων που υπάρχουν στις ταρίφες μεταξύ των διαχειριστών. Και από εκεί πέρα η ΔΕΠΑ προετοιμάζεται για την επόμενη μέρα, συμμετέχει σε έργα R&D για ανανεώσιμο αέριο, για βιομεθάνιο ή πράσινο υδρογόνο. Έχει τελειώσει ο χρόνος, ποτέ δεν θέλω.
Ευχαριστώ θερμά τους ομιλητές. Δυστυχώς δεν έχουμε άλλο χρόνο. Ευχαριστώ πολύ.